Hello, welcome to Friday's Nuts Today with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're doing well. Here's what's on the show today. First, we're finding out why farming experts in Nottingham think we should do more to protect the soil under our feet.
I think the way that we learn to be a more sustainable society is to work with nature, the way that nature interacts with each other.
We'll have more on that shortly. Also on the show, we're going to be talking to the new leader of Nottinghamshire County Council, Sam Smith. The Newark East politician was officially installed as the authorities' leader yesterday and joins us on the sofa in a moment to talk through his priorities. We're also going to be finding out how people in the city are trying to reduce waste over Christmas.
That 100,000 tonnes of plastic packaging is thrown away each Christmas, and that's in the UK alone. And that's just over the 3-day period.
We're also going to be talking to one of the cinematographers behind a planned new film exploring the last decade of mining in Nottinghamshire. The short film is looking to explore the county's coal mining heritage, but those behind it need more funding to get the project off the ground. And in sports, we'll hear from the bosses of all 3 football clubs as they prepare for a big weekend of league action, including a trip to Old Trafford for Forest.
The personnel and the players, we cannot clearly identify who's going to start. But in our approach is always the same. Let's focus on the things they've been doing, and been doing a lot of things well.
All that and loads more coming up just for you. But first, and as we've discussed on the show this and last week, Nottinghamshire County Council has a new leader. Councillor Sam Smith has officially taken over at the top of the authority, succeeding former Mansfield MP Ben Bradley, who announced he was stepping down last month. Councillor Smith, who represents Newark East and also represents Trent Valley on Gedling Borough Council, is just 27 years old and takes over the council at a time of compounding budget constraints. And I'm pleased to say he joins me on the sofa now, a day after being officially appointed in his new role. Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you.
What a week you've had. How did it feel to be officially put in that role yesterday?
It's been an absolute whirlwind, but a privilege and an honour. Really excited. Lots to do, lots of challenges ahead, but really excited to get on with delivering for the residents of Nottinghamshire.
So let's get straight into it with your priorities.
I think, if you look at the County Council, we have a proud record of delivery. We've got libraries in every community. We're investing in the roads. We've got youth services that are being enjoyed. We're building new schools and expanding existing ones. My priorities are to keep delivering on those whilst keeping council tax as low as possible and deliver on the priorities of residents. Also, we've got a big budget to set in February that needs to be balanced. So there's a lot to do, but they're my priorities. My priorities are really the priorities of the residents of Nottinghamshire.
And what would you say to people who say at 27 you're too young to be the leader?
Well, I got involved in politics at a very young age. I was campaigning for better education standards when I was 13.
I mean, you were really young, weren't you?
I was very young. So I suppose if you look at my experiences in the council, I got elected at a young age as well. And if you look at the experiences of getting things done and take that and compare it to somebody who may have got elected at the age of 50, let's say, and we'd served the same amount of time on the council, we both have the same experiences of getting things done. So for me, it's not an age thing. It's about what you can do. And I'm really passionate about improving things to make Nottinghamshire better.
And of course, we can't have you in here without talking about budgets. You arrive as Nottinghamshire County Council faces an expected £31 million cost rise in adult social care. That's just one of the budget constraints due to the government's increase in the national living wage, national insurance. There's a lot going on budget-wise. What would you say to people who are maybe really concerned about council tax rises?
Yeah, so at a Conservative run Nottinghamshire County Council, we have a fantastic track record of delivering efficiencies whilst trying to keep council tax as low as possible. The government haven't helped. When they passed their budget in Westminster a few weeks ago, it added about £30 million of pressures onto our council, particularly, like you say, in adult social care with the rise in national insurance fees there. So we're working really hard as an administration, looking at every department's budget to try and work out how we can drive efficiencies, whether that's embracing the use of technology and things like that. So I'm confident in February we'll be able to present a balanced budget whilst retaining good services and keeping council tax as low as possible, but it is very challenging.
It's definitely a challenging time. And how does it work for you? Are you kind of straight in now, you're the leader of the county council, or do kind of you eased in, or is your inbox already full?
It's already full. I walk out my office and everybody in County Hall, all councillors from all parties want to talk to me about their division and getting things done for their residents. and quite right too. I'm very keen to get on with delivering for the people of Nottinghamshire, but the inbox is very full with lots of different issues, and obviously everything's a priority for them. So it's trying to navigate your way through that. But I have a good team of people. We have a cabinet of 10 people whose sole job it is to run individual departments, and I'm relying on them to carry on doing what they're doing whilst I try and work out how to navigate through all those different pressures.
And that's it, that's one of those things. And of course the last time we spoke was in your role in education. How will that kind of tie in with your role as leader?
Yeah, so obviously I still have getting better education qualities was what got me involved in politics at the age of 13, so I'm really passionate about that. I will be announcing in the next few days who the new cabinet member for education and SEND is, and I look forward to working with them in keep improving the quality of education in SEND. We've done a really good job at improving SEND services from about 4% of EHCPs in 20 weeks to about 40% now, and we need to keep driving that, and I'm still passionate about that. So whoever is my successor will be focused on that as well.
And then I think a lot of people kind of wind down at this time in the run up to Christmas. I'm guessing that that's not the case. How do the next few weeks look for you?
So I am meeting with all departments and councillors across the county from all parties to work out what their priorities are for their residents. I don't want to wind down for Christmas because we have an election in May, so I need to be firing on all cylinders and getting the council firing on all cylinders so we can focus on the residents' priorities, and that is exactly what I'm doing. There's no rest between now and May. We need to be fully focused on delivering on the priorities, and I definitely am.
And if people want to find out more about you, what your priorities are, and about the County Council in its whole, where do they find out?
They can go on the County Council website or follow the County Council on social media, and we'll be putting out a lot of things there. We've just done a budget survey, so we're taking in their views into account there, and the budget will be set in February. So yes, follow the County Council's social media or go on our website.
Wonderful. Sam, thank you very much for joining us. Right, moving on now, and as we all know, based off the dark mornings and nights, we are getting deep into winter. Christmas is just around the corner and the autumn harvest has been and gone. So you might not necessarily think of farming or soil at this time of year, but actually yesterday was Soil Day, an international event celebrating the importance of the ground beneath our feet. That's both for food and for the planet's long-term sustainability. Well, this week, to mark the event, our reporter Marta Evora Silva has been out to speak with experts and farmers about why they think the earth is so important.
What if we dig deeper into the importance of healthy soil for our world? That's exactly what World Soil Day is about. Healthy soil produces a plant full of nutrition ready to harvest and eat. And while this sounds straightforward, experts in Nottingham say we are nearing a soil crisis right under our noses. With extreme weather, soil can become degraded and is not able to hold water as it would normally. And once we build more concrete that can absorb water in the same way, it can lead to immense floods. Stonebridge City Farm sells vegetables they themselves plant and is 100% organic, keeping their soil healthy. Their gardener, Miriam, explains how they do it.
When we're trying to keep our healthy soil, we can only use natural products. So because we have animals on the farm, we use the animal manure as a fertiliser. Over the winter, all our beds have the animal manure added to them, and that breaks down through the winter, and then so in the spring when we're planting our crops out, then we should have a nice balanced healthy soil to plant them into.
Farmers are starting to notice how overproduction that started in World War II is not good in long term. And according to James Cheney, a soil expert from Nottingham-based company Agrovista, farmers are not the only ones who have a part to play in this. It involves us all.
If you ask any primary school child now where their food comes from, a good percentage will say it comes from the supermarket. There's this massive disconnect of where our food comes from. You know, every day of your life you need a farmer. By having healthier soils, we're producing healthier food, which then means we're getting a healthier diet from that. So everybody's connected at some way along the line.
To bring more awareness to this day, Malmö and Broadway Cinema joined together to showcase the documentary 6 Inches of Soil. That's about farmers who are taking the risk of practicing regenerative farming. This minimizes disturbance to the natural process of farming and promotes soil health, radicalizing the current industrial way of farming.
I think the way that we learn to be a more sustainable society is to work with nature, and what we mean by that is to look at the way that nature interacts with each other, and make our systems to work in that way. And many of these times are actually looking back to much older forms of agricultural practice, but within a modern context.
The soil we walk on every day carries life itself. And as these Nottingham experts are showing, if we owe our life to soil, shouldn't we then do more to help it? Marta Evra Silva for Nots TV.
Thanks, Marta. Right, let's take a look at some of your news headlines now. First, an Mansfield man has been charged with murder and attempted murder following the death of a mum in Pleasley. 25-year-old Alana Armstrong was killed after a suspected hit-and-run incident on Batley Lane last Tuesday, November the 26th, when the e-bike she was riding as a passenger was hit by a Land Rover Discovery. The main driver, a man in his 20s, also had part of his leg amputated. 23-year-old Keaton Muldoon of Tuckers Lane in Mansfield has been charged with murder and attempted murder and appeared in court today. Next, a teenage boy has been bailed by police after a boulder was dropped from a bridge and left a van driver hospitalised. The 26-year-old man received injuries to his head and his face when the boulder was dropped through the window from the footbridge over the Reneth bypass on Friday, November the 29th. Police say he's recovering from his injuries in hospital, and a 17-year-old boy has been arrested and bailed. They've renewed their appeal for more information and say anyone who can help or had dashcam footage should call them on 101. Right, let's take a short break, but when we get back we are discussing delays to ambulance handover times getting worse in the East Midlands, and we've got a full sports roundup too. It's a busy weekend of football. All of that is on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Friday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a good day so far. Here's what's happening in Notts today. First, and problems plaguing a new housing development on the former Kimberley Brewery site have now been mainly resolved. Developer Fairgrove began work on the Hardys and Hanson site nearly a decade ago, but the developer was placed under investigation for breaches of its planning permission. It regarded the quality of work and flooding as well. But at a planning committee meeting this week, Broxtowe Borough Council said repair work to some homes and roofs and confirmed problems are being addressed on the site. Next, a new operating technique is being credited with reducing waiting times for patients in Nottingham. The elective orthopaedic team at Nottingham City Hospital has been trialling a dual operating technique which allows one surgeon to complete up to 10 hip and knee replacements in a single day, compared with 5 beforehand. 2 theatres are prepped at the same time, and Nottingham University Hospitals Trust said it's led to waiting lists being half the size they were a year ago. That means most people now have their procedures within 65 weeks. It's incredible. Sticking with the theme of health, and one waiting list which isn't going down is the queues for ambulances handing over their patients over to hospitals across the East Midlands. East Midlands Ambulance Service, the ambulance service which serves our region, says patients have been suffering dreadful experiences as handover delays hit their second worst ever level. Last month, crews lost a total of 22,500 hours queuing to hand their patients over to wards in hospitals. That's 75% higher than November last year. Our local democracy reporter Joe Locker has been covering this story and joins us now. Joe, thank you for joining us. So just how bad is this situation?
Yeah, so it's been quite bad for a long time. I mean, people have probably regularly read about the handover delays that ambulances face, and they've seen pictures of ambulances, parked outside hospitals across the East Midlands, which is, where East Midlands Ambulance Service covers. And as you say, 22,590 hours were lost.
It's wild.
Yeah, and that's just in November. So it's the second highest figure ever recorded by the ambulance service. So it's really quite a significant and bad winter already, and we're only in, the start of December. So on average, around 754 hours were lost every day at the start of November, and that only got worse throughout November. So from November the 18th, this went up to 983 hours every day, and that equates to about 82 ambulance shifts every single day that are just lost to, paramedics, technicians waiting outside hospitals, waiting to hand over, these patients to get into hospital. And to compare, so last October 2023, it was about 42 shifts that were lost. So, it's a significant increase on last year.
It really is. And why are they being held up? Because one would assume that an ambulance would get to hospital, drop off the patient would see whichever team within the hospital they need and get going.
Yeah, it's a complex issue. There's lots of reasons why things aren't working smoothly and functioning properly. You've got acute trusts that are, full, beds are full. You've got emergency departments that are overcrowded, transfer delays, and importantly as well, there's a lack of, social care options in the community. So, people can't be discharged from hospital back out into their homes or into care homes or residential homes because, there's issues within the wider health system. So all of these things are causing problems for the ambulance service and the wider health system, and that's leading to staff who are really struggling. You've got sort of paramedics, technicians waiting outside hospitals just with a single patient, not using the skills, I suppose, that they need to keep doing, and that's depletes the morale, doesn't it, really? And
Absolutely.
It's
So what are ambulance bosses saying about all of this? Because they can't be happy either.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Nicole Atkinson, so this was on Tuesday at a board meeting I attended. She's a medical director for EMAS. She says, it's just not acceptable from their perspective. And she just called the patient experience, as you mentioned, dreadful, which is, quite a resounding word to describe what's going on. And she says it needs a whole system response, not just EMAS. EMAS are arriving at hospitals and just can't hand over the patients. And EMAS as well has just got a new finance director, Stuart Poyner, and he said he was shocked at just how bad the situation was. He quoted one evening where there was 127 ambulances just waiting to hand over patients.
And of course, if you're calling an ambulance as well, you presumably need or think you need urgent hospital care, and then you're just waiting, in a chair or on a bed to get into hospital. So what are they suggesting is done to help this situation?
Yeah, so it's a difficult one. From EMAS's perspective, you've got the chief executive, Richard Henderson, who says he'll be writing to hospital trusts and integrated care boards which commission other health services. And he basically said their winter plans haven't delivered so far. So the planning that they've done up, to prepare for winter, just isn't working. These issues are still happening despite these plans. So he says he's going to, EMAS is going to write to all these different health systems like hospital trusts, to say, this is a serious situation. We need to let you know how serious this is for us and how it's affecting us.
And it feels like it's something that just can't carry on. Joe, we appreciate you keeping us updated with that and look forward to further updates. Time now for your sport, and we are starting with Nottingham Forest, who are back in action tomorrow, where they face Manchester United away at Old Trafford. The Reds hope to get back to winning ways after their 3-0 defeat midweek to Manchester City. The Reds have fallen to 7th spots on 22 points, and head coach Nuno Espirito Santo says he's not quite sure what United lineup to expect, but feels they'll set up in a tough manner.
As we look at Man United, quality, talented players, you can see. I think the shape, it's there. The personnel and the players, we cannot clearly identify who's going to start. But in our approach, is always the same. Let's focus on the things they've been doing, and been doing a lot of things well. But also, let's try to make advantage on was always a tough place to go, but going with being positive and going for the game. We know that we're not going to have many chances, but even though, that's why I'm positive about, because we reach a lot of times during the game areas that show that the team is producing, the team is getting there.
Across the Trent and Notts County face Colchester United at Meadow Lane tomorrow at 3 p.m. The Magpies currently sit 6th in the table. Meanwhile, Colchester find themselves in 17th. They head into the match looking to grab a win after failing to do so in their last 4 league games, most recently losing on the road against Walsall on Tuesday night. Speaking ahead of the weekend, Pies head coach Stuart Maynard said he feels the side have been performing well, but injuries aren't helping them to perform consistently.
Same as at the start of the season, our performance levels were very good and the results were coming, and we had the wins. If you look at our performance at home against Newport, I thought it was excellent. Other than scoring, I don't think you could ask for a better performance as all round. The way that we dominated, the way that we created chances, the way that we opened them up, the way that we played pretty much all the game in their half, which is something that we want to do, and we want to be like that on the front foot and aggressive in the final third. We believe that results will come again. It's just been a very difficult period with injuries and selection, in the sense of bodies coming out and not getting that continuity of being able to pick a starting 11 consistently.
On to Mansfield Town now, and the Stags are back in action at Field Mill this weekend when they welcome Huddersfield to town. They'll play in front of a sold-out crowd at the One Course Stadium and hope to get back to winning ways in the league, having not won a league match since mid-October. Their most recent loss was against Bolton away on Tuesday, when they let a 1-0 lead slip to lose 3-1 with 15 minutes to spare. Speaking after that one, manager Nigel Clough said the Stags can take on any challenge.
There's nothing in the league to be frightened of. We can come to Bolton Wanderers, we can go to Wickham, we can go to Wrexham, we can go wherever we've been, Wigan, Barnsley on the first day, and if we do our stuff, we are competitive at this level. That's the best thing. But if you don't get a result and you don't make good decisions, no point.
Sticking with football, but moving over to Forest Women now, who are in FA Cup action when they face Burnley on Sunday. It's their second successive FA Cup match, having faced Long Itchington last weekend in a rearranged fixture which they won by a whopping 19 goals to 0. The FA Cup clash is a third round tie when they face a Burnley side who they've already drawn with once this season. Onto the ice hockey now, and Panthers will be looking to make it 3 4-point weekends in a row when they return to action. The side have won both games over the last 2 weekends, including a big win against the Sheffield Steelers last Saturday. They've got 2 more matches this weekend, both of them in the Elite League, and that starts with a trip to Guildford Flames tomorrow before they welcome Cardiff Devils to the Motorpoint on Sunday. And don't forget, we are going to be showing all the action from the Cardiff game right here on the channel on Wednesday evening. I love watching that. On to rugby now, and Nottingham will be looking to get back to winning ways when they travel to Cambridge tomorrow. The Archers were without a win in 4 games, including league losses to Coventry and Bedford, as well as a cup defeat to Premiership sides Northampton and the Leicester Tigers. But they travel to face a Cambridge side sitting second from bottom in the Championship table, 7 points below Nottingham in 5th. Kick-off for that one is at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Time now for your Friday photo of the day. Look at this great shot taken at Trent Bridge. Thanks to Mackenzie Louise on Instagram for sharing that one. I love it. Weather-wise now, and unfortunately tonight there is a yellow warning for wind. Temperatures will drop to 6 degrees. Tomorrow, the weekend, will see light rain for the most part, with highs of 9 and lows of 5. And on Sunday, it's going to be a similar day really, with rain, lows of 5 and highs of 8. Maybe take your brolly if you're going out this weekend. Right, let's take another short break now, but grab yourself a cuppa and come back after the ads, because we're going to be meeting the cinematographer who needs your help in bringing a film about our county's mining heritage to life. All of that and your What's On guide on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Friday's Nots Today with me, Emma Caldwell. Here's what's happening in our county today. First, a master plan to transform Arnold Town Centre has been set out by Gedling Borough Council. The town's High Street is described by the authority as tired, with making improvements to Front Street one of the priorities set out by the council. Also in the plan are new leisure centres and extended theatre, improvements to shop fronts and increasing the amount of green space in Arnold Town Centre. Consultants Wilmot Dixon are working with the council on the plans and said the town could also benefit from improved transport links. Next, and Rushcliffe Borough Council has officially appointed former Mansfield Council CEO Adam Hill as its new Chief Executive. The new Chief Exec was approved during the Rushcliffe Authority's full council meeting last night, meaning he'll take over as the most senior officer at the council. It brings to an end his time at Mansfield District Council, which has now launched a recruitment drive to appoint its own CEO. The council hopes to confirm the person for that role before Christmas, with them taking over in February. Time now for a What's On guide, where we take a little look at what you can get out and about doing this fine Friday evening. And kicking it off over at the Bodega on Pelham Street is their night with a live performance from West Country-based solo musician Gaz Brookfield. Tickets for that start at £17. Doors open at 7 and will finish up at 10 p.m. Alternatively, over at Nottingham Secret Garden is their Secret Garden Rave. It starts at 10, runs all the way through until 3 a.m. if you want a night out. Tickets for that are £8 for their second release wave. Have fun if you're heading to that one. Next, the Saltbox Bar has a BC Camplight piano solo performance at 7:30. Tickets for that are £25. And if you're looking for something festive over the weekend, well, there's a Christmas tree festival at St Giles Church in West Bridgford. So it's back on tomorrow between 10 and 5 p.m. and Sunday between 1 and 4, with over 30 trees decorated by local groups and charity. Entry is free and it looks fabulous. Time now for our final great guest of the week, and we're joined by a cinematographer behind a planned new film exploring the last decade of mining in Nottinghamshire. The short film, We're All Black Down Here, is looking to explore the county's coal mining heritage, but those behind it need more funding to get the project out of the mine and off the ground. The piece highlights the themes of race, identity and multiculturalism, and to tell me more about the film and their appeal to get the much needed funds to finish it is Jermaine Edwards. Jermaine, thank you very much for joining me tonight. So what can you tell us about the film?
So it's Millie James's kind of father's story about when he came to England and had to work down the mines, and like kind of some autobiographical about his story, down the mines.
Amazing. So how far into the film are you?
So we finished shooting principal photography, and we're just in the edit basically, which usually takes a long time. And then we're just trying to get completion fund to like do all the post stuff. So
this is the thing, like, where does the filming come for a film like this?
Financially, the BFI have given us like 25 grand, and that was all spent on the principal like shooting of the film and finding locations and going to the National Coal Mining Museum in Wakefield.
And then where are you expecting the rest of the film? This is where you're fundraising now, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's for the edit basically, and for post production, so like sound mixing and the grade and all the back of house kind of stuff. Yeah.
And within the film, it looks kind of, like we said, into the last kind of decade of mining in Nottinghamshire. Have you been out to like speak to lots of people who, because there's still lots of mining people, and we've had them on the show, to get their experience and kind of work out what was going on at that time?
Yeah, so we've been trying to make this film for like 4 years.
Wow.
Sophia Ramachan was like the previous producer, but she passed away. But since in that 4 years, we've visited like many like locations and spoke to like countless people that were in the mining industry, like coal and like kind of like precious like slate and kind of stuff in, maybe not slate, but other materials. We went to like Matlock Bath, where there's like a mine there, yeah. And there's an old mine in Mansfield that we went to as well. But yeah.
Because am I right in thinking some of the filming actually took place down a mine as well? You got permission to film down in the mine, which is incredible.
Yeah. We like I said, the National Coal Mining Museum allowed us to go like 500 meters down underground and shoot down there with like the supervision of like former miners as well, and they had like an abundance amount of like information to share with us, so we kind of like got it correct.
That looks amazing. We're just looking at some mining pictures on there as well.
Yeah, so these are, I did another film and these are from Nigeria. So,
I see.
But hopefully we'll play you the teaser trailer.
Amazing. So we've seen some of the stuff on there as well. And in terms of the themes of the film, so that's exploring race and identity, acceptance, multiculturalism, is a really provocative title as well. Where did that come from?
So I think it came about by something that was actually said to Millie's father while they were down in the mine, because I think like the film deals with like kind of like being othered, and kind of like Morris is an easy target because he's black, right? So I think the miners in particular had a very strong kind of like camaraderie, and kind of like they were kind of like bonded by each other, and I think so it was kind of a reflection of that. While you're working down in a mine, it's kind of like the camaraderie of being together, and I think that's where it came from. But Millie should tell that story.
Oh, it sounds like an incredible story to hear as well. So what's next? When might we be able to see the film?
So we're still in the edit, and I think it would be finished like maybe April. Yeah, and then we'll ship it around to festivals, fingers crossed.
That's amazing. And if people are interested and they want to find out more, or maybe about the fundraising, where can they go and find out more?
So there's a Greenlit page, and it's called We're All Black Down Here, if I'm correct. And yeah, you can go onto there. I think there's a Facebook page as well. Or you can just contact Derry or Jack Delaney at Simply Thrilled, and I'm sure they'll point you in the right direction.
Amazing. We cannot wait to see it. Jermaine, thank you for coming in today and sharing that with us. Moving on now for another look at something we discussed earlier, and we all know, based off those dark mornings and nights, we are getting deep into winter. Christmas is just around the corner and the autumn harvest has been and gone. So you might not necessarily think of farming or soil at this time of year, but yesterday was actually Soil Day, an international event celebrating the importance of the ground beneath our feet, and that's both for food and for the planet's long-term sustainability too. Well, this week, to mark the event, our reporter Marta Evora Silva has been out to speak with experts and farmers about why they think the earth is so important.
What if we dig deeper into the importance of healthy soil for our world? That's exactly what World Soil Day is about. Healthy soil produces a plant full of nutrition ready to harvest and eat. And while this sounds straightforward, experts in Nottingham say we are nearing a soil crisis right under our noses. With extreme weather, soil can become degraded and is not able to hold water as it would normally. And once we build more concrete that can absorb water in the same way, it can lead to immense floods. Stonebridge City Farm sells vegetables they themselves plant and is 100% organic, keeping their soil healthy. Their gardener, Miriam, explains how they do it.
When we're trying to keep our healthy soil, we can only use natural products. So because we have animals on the farm, we use the animal manure as a fertiliser. Over the winter, all our beds have the animal manure added to them, and that breaks down through the winter, and then so in the spring when we're planting our crops out, then we should have a nice balanced healthy soil to plant them into.
Farmers are starting to notice how overproduction that started in World War II is not good in long term. But according to James Cheney, a soil expert from Nottingham-based company Agrovista, farmers are not the only ones who have a part to play in this. It involves us all.
If you ask any primary school child now where their food comes from, a good percentage will say it comes from the supermarket. There's this massive disconnect of where our food comes from. You know, every day of your life you need a farmer. By having healthier soils, we're producing healthier food, which then means we're getting a healthier diet from that. So everybody's connected at some way along the line.
To bring more awareness to this day, Malmö and Broadway Cinema joined together to showcase the documentary 6 Inches of Soil. That's about farmers who are taking the risk of practicing regenerative farming. This minimizes disturbance to the natural process of farming and promotes soil health, radicalizing the current industrial way of farming.
I think the way that we learn to be a more sustainable society is to work with nature, and what we mean by that is to look at the way that nature interacts with each other and make our systems work in that way. And many of these times are actually looking back to much older forms of agricultural practice, but within a modern context.
The soil we walk on every day carries life itself. And as these Nottingham experts are showing, if we owe our life to soil, shouldn't we then do more to help it? Marta Evora Silva for Nots TV.
Right, let's take some more of your news headlines now first. And police are trying to find a woman after parcels were stolen from a block of flats in Nottingham. Officers were called to the atrium on Waterfront Plaza on September the 24th after reports of a theft from a communal area. They say parcels may have been taken from the area on multiple other occasions too. They've released this CCTV footage showing on your screens right now and say anyone who recognises the woman, even though the footage is not completely clear, should call them on 101. Next, and the force have made an arrest after nearly 1,800 cannabis plants were seized from a Colic warehouse. Officers received intelligence about the warehouse being used for cannabis growing and conducted a raid there at 9:15 on Thursday morning. Once they were inside, tactical support officers found 1,768 plants inside, alongside dangerously bypassed electricity. A 35-year-old man was then arrested, though police say their inquiries are still ongoing and people can call them with any information on 101. All right, let's take this one final break. Today's show's gone very quick, but when we've got back, loads more coming up, including sustainability at Christmas. How sustainable are you? What's your wrapping paper looking like? Festive socks is what we're going to be talking about. I cannot guarantee whether there are festive socks under these boots. And I look ahead to the latest episode of the Notts TV debate. It returns to your screens tonight. I'll tell you more about that, and Team Talk too. All of that and loads more on the way for you next. Hello, welcome back to Friday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Here's what's on the show today. First, and a new decade-long strategy for how the county's libraries are run has been approved despite concerns. Nottinghamshire County Council has renewed its library strategy for another 10 years, including a tiered approach that separates them based on usage and size. The authority approved the strategy during its full council meeting yesterday, when the cabinet member responsible for them promised no libraries will close. However, some concerns were raised about libraries only being open for 12 hours a week. Next, and Rushcliffe Borough Council has approved a motion aimed at supporting farming families who could be impacted by proposed inheritance tax changes. The Conservative-run authority will write to Chancellor Rachel Reeves, calling for her to reverse charges to the tax, which could affect residents who own farms in the borough. A full council meeting last night heard concerns from National Farmers Union about a potential hammer blow to farm owners from the changes, which come into effect in April 2026. Well, that was also one of the issues discussed on this month's Notts TV debate, which airs tonight at 8:30 on the channel and will be available on demand too. Frances Finn's back with another panel of local leaders to discuss the hottest issues hitting the headlines. This month, she's joined by Simon Robinson, the former leader of Rushcliffe Borough Council, as well as academic Denisha Johnson and Councillor David Watts. He's the Lib Dem leader in Broxtowe. The panel also discussed the election of Sam Smith as the County Council leader, who of course we met on the show earlier on. But here's some of the discussion on inheritance tax.
The lifeblood of this country, if we don't have farms, we don't have our own food, and food security is really important. The problem is it's based on the value of the land, and farmers aren't receiving inheritances of cash. They're handing down the land to the next generation, and when you're then told, well, that land notionally is worth £3 million, so you have to pay a huge amount of tax on it, the only asset they get is that land to pay it, and that will end up being sold off to corporations, to investments. So we will have far less family farms, we'll have more tenant farmers who are given targets by the companies who own the land. We will have less investment in nature and in protecting wildlife, which farmers do. They play a really, really important job.
But the government is saying that it's not going to affect as many farms as we are led to believe by all the farmers that are up in arms about it, because once you factor in all the concessions, it's not going to hit farming families, let's say, as disproportionately as they say, compared to other people who have their own businesses, other people who have family houses that they can't pass down, because they have to pay inheritance tax. Why should it be any different?
Do I think that they need to increase taxes to support infrastructure in all of these areas that we're struggling in? Absolutely. Looking at untraditional areas that they didn't tax before is one route to it. Should they have started here? That's debatable.
When you're doing something like this, you've got to be absolutely clear this is what the impact is going to be, this is how many people this is going to affect. And they didn't do it. They just put it out there. And you raised a point about, why should someone a house?
They were very clear about the numbers when they published this. And they pushed back against the other agencies that were saying, like the Country Land and Business Association.
Yeah, but just the point you raised about, someone with a house pays inheritance. Farmers, this is their business, this is the asset. And as David said, a lot of farmers are asset rich but cash poor.
Looks like a good chat, doesn't it? Don't forget to tune in to that at 8:30. Also on the channel this week, we've aired the latest edition of Team Talk. It was an away day for regulars Mark Shardlow and Charlie McParland, so lovely Mark Dennison jumped off the bench and into the hot seat. He was joined by Forest women's star Kate Longhurst, oh amazing, and then lifelong Stags fan Mick Pilling and Sam Crawford of the Notts County Foundation, but who is also a huge Reds fan at the end of the show, which you can catch up with on the website and on the official YouTube channel. The panel gave their predictions for Forest, County and Stags this weekend. Take a look.
We'll start with Nottingham Forest. They're away on Saturday, 5:30. It's Manchester United they're facing. Sam, thoughts on Forest Man U?
So I'm trying to answer this pragmatically and honestly. I think genuinely we are a hard team to break down, but equally Man United are on an upward curve.
Yeah.
I could see it ending 1-1.
Okay, 1-1. Mick?
2-2.
2-2. All right, interesting. Mansfield against Huddersfield. That's a Saturday, 3 o'clock. Mick, you go first.
Well, we're on a 4-game losing run in the league, and losing runs don't go on forever.
You're going to win?
Yeah, 2-1.
Okay. Sam?
I'm going to go with 1-0 Mansfield.
1-0.
Yeah.
And quickly on Notts County, 3 o'clock kickoff as well against Colchester.
So Colchester obviously just scored 4 last night, which is slightly concerning, but I do think that Notts will win that game. I think we'll win 2-0.
All right.
3-1 Notts.
Well, that is a great panel, isn't it? You can catch that on demand right now at knottstv.com. Moving on, and it's time to talk Christmas, but more importantly, about how eco-friendly organisations are trying to cut waste over the festive period. Now, of course, we can all be guilty of throwing away a lot of waste over Christmas, and things like tinsel, sellotape and non-recycling wrapping paper. But some people in the city are trying to cut down on this form of waste, including Waste Not in Sherwood, an amazing non-profit organisation aimed at cutting waste and giving back to the community too. And our reporter Katarina Savadash went down to find out more.
Colourful wrapping, Christmas crackers and shiny tinsel are a regular part of the festive season, but not always a sign of sustainability. Volunteers from Waste Not, a local eco-friendly shop in Sherwood, have set a goal to reduce single-use plastic at all costs this Christmas. They encourage customers to be more sustainable, especially during one of the most environmentally damaging seasons of the year. Claire Stevens, a volunteer at the shop, says this period is a very wasteful time of the year.
There's a lot of pressure on people to provide the perfect Christmas, which leads to a lot of overconsumption and overspending. And I read that 100,000 tonnes of plastic packaging is thrown away each Christmas, and that's in the UK alone. And that's just over the 3-day period.
The shop provides only ethical products, meaning all its suppliers follow a zero-waste strategy, selling things from coffee beans to shampoos. Customers come with containers and fill them up, which allows them to purchase only the amount they need to avoid unnecessary waste. One of them is Karen Gary, who has been using sustainable Christmas techniques for several years now.
We try to use wraps, so cloth wraps, and newspaper that you recycle, or you use brown paper and then you actually draw on it. I also do a lot of Christmas shopping from local artists, so trying to support the community again here in Sherwood. I even used old Christmas cards and cut the front bit off and then use it for little tags and things.
Apart from saving the planet, Waste Not donates all the profits to food banks and Nottingham Framework. And to support an eco-friendly Christmas, volunteers created a blog to provide tips for those who is not yet on the green path. Parkash Ross, one of the founders of the project, shared some of them.
First thing is to reuse things. So if you're going to buy things, buy second hand. One of the biggest things for me is not buy wrapping paper, because all it does is get ripped up and put into the bin, and often it can't be recycled because it's shiny. Third thing I would say is buy less. Try and think of other ways in which you can show your love and appreciation of your family and relatives and friends.
Recently, the shop reached the milestone of saving more than 35,000 plastic bottles. Volunteers say it's just the beginning, and their main goal is to keep Christmas green, and not just the tree. Katerina Sabadash for Nots TV.
And we are sticking with the theme of Christmas, and children across one city youth centre came together in bright festive colours to show off their best Christmas socks. I love this. It was part of an initiative at Nottingham Youth Service to raise money for Nottingham Hospital's charity, where children who use the youth club at the Children's Hospital put on their very best festive stockings and showed off their favourites. We went along to the event on Wednesday, which coincided with Festive Sock Day. It's a thing. We spoke to people there. Take a look.
Some of the young people have donated when they're coming this evening, some of the staff have donated, and it's a trust-wide thing, so staff across the hospital today have also been wearing festive socks and getting involved and donating in their own way to the charity within the hospital as well. It's not just us, it's a trust-wide thing. So it's Nottingham University Hospital, Queen's Medical Centre and City Hospital as well. We wouldn't be here at the Youth Club tonight without their support, so they fund a lot of what we do. So a lot of the youth work that goes on here is because of the trust, and so the staff and the young people that are all wearing socks tonight are doing it as a little way of giving back to the trust.
So basically I chose some Christmassy stuff because obviously it's near Christmas, and also I love Christmas because you can spend time with your family. I chose these socks because they look like the most festive out of all the socks I own. They're just sparkly. And they're definitely better than Chris's long socks.
Oh, I love a festive sock. That looks incredible. Right, so let's have another look at your Friday picture of the day now. Look at this fabulous shot taken at Trent Bridge. I'm trying to work out if that's a bird or a plane. It's a bird, apparently. Thank you very much to Makenda Louise on Instagram for sharing this one. And of course, if you've got some photos that you would love to share, maybe get an on photo of the day, you can contact us on our socials, Nots_TV on Twitter, Facebook and Insta. Right, looking at your weather now, and tonight it's looking about 8 degrees. It's going to be rainy, I'm afraid, dropping to 6 degrees. Tomorrow, the weekend, we'll see some light rain for the most part, with highs of 9 and lows of 5. Rainy, but not that cold is what I'm taking from that. And finally, Sunday will be similar with rain, lows of 5 and highs of 8. Basically, whatever you're doing this weekend, take your umbrella with you just to be safe. And that is it, the end of today's show and another week here on Nots Today. Al Booth is back on Monday at the usual time to do it all over again. But until then, thanks as always to our brilliant guests, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.